You know that roar from anywhere, and it's Godzilla. When Godzilla first appeared back in the 1950s, people thought it was literally a B movie, a cheesy one. But when you actually look on the surface of it, it was a way more serious film tackling the issues of World War II and the bombs that hit Nagasaki, Japan, and I think Hiroshima. Godzilla was a big trademark of destruction. Nothing can kill him. Gunshots, no. Explosions, no. Only a monster can kill him. Another monster. The tradition of Godzilla has lasted for decades, and I think it's for very good reasons because Godzilla is a very interesting monster, and the style of him looks amazing. Now, what is the big reason behind this legendary movie? Well, Godzilla itself is a very interesting movie, however, it's never going to be my favorite. It could be a favorite in many people's eyes, but for me, it's never going to be my favorite. I love the movie, it's great, it's very entertaining to watch, it's just not my style. Plus, even with me, I had to go through a Japanese version with English subtitles. That's how I watched that movie for the very first time. And the suit itself was a very big pain back in 1954, or most notably, as most of the wiki and Google has gone, 1956. The suit itself was heavy, and the actor, which had very good commitment of becoming the monster, passed out inside the suit because it was so heavy, so hard to walk in. Not only that, the eyepieces to see was in the neck, so it was very difficult. Godzilla's trademark roar has become the legendary roars. Much like, Jason Voorhees has a legendary weapon, or Michael Myers has a very nice legendary mask, or Freddy Krueger's glove, Godzilla's roar was one of the most legendary things. And you wouldn't believe what it was for back then in the original. In the original, it was just a glove, a leather glove, like rubbing against some type of stringed instrument, like a bass or something. And I'm surprised that because that sounds like a roar, but yet I'm like, can somebody actually try that out on YouTube to see if it sounds like Godzilla's roar? Because that actually is amazing. King Kong's roars, as I heard as well, were normally multiple different animal growls as well. So that's commitment how they made it. And the one thing interesting too is that he also fought King Kong, but that's the third installment, King Kong versus Godzilla. He's become a father and son of Godzilla. He's become a heroic savior of Japan, and mostly my personal favorite, if I wanted to watch it, was probably him versus Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla has to be, oh my god, I don't know, I'm just a thing with robots, giant robots. And then there's the 98 film, which has gone through such big flack after Godzilla versus Destroyer. Yes, you have to say it like that. It's called Destroyer. That's what it was called. And speaking of that movie, Godzilla vs. Destroyer was the last installment of the second series of Godzilla. Then when the third installment came out, Godzilla was everywhere in America. It was a huge undertaking here, and the change of the monster has changed over years and years. Sometimes you wouldn't even tell that he originally looked like a rubber suited monster in Japan. But when you look at these movies, you're like, oh wow, this monster's great. And I think he is. He's indestructible and he breathes fire. But not only that, he was born from nuclear radiation. So it works somehow. Like I said, like I said with the characters, they're nice, good characters. And I think they're very lovable in their own right. It's just the thing with Japan. Back during the days of World War II, I think Japan's been going through a lot of problems since they lost the Second World War and lost many lives during that day. And I won't go into that, because it's too much for me. And we're talking about horror vision. We're not talking about World War II vision. So, but I'll tell you one thing: the people who made this film, who made Godzilla, who made the trademark roar, the actors, the actresses, they played great. It's almost like they felt like they were in this type of environment. That's the thing about acting. And I think that's what Japan, I think, did right. You have to feel like you're in this type of environment. You're this monster. You're this protagonist. You're this main character trying to stop this other main character. This one big part that is in the poster that you're on. You have to feel like you're in those parts. If you're bland, boring, and can't even be serious enough in the acting, then you just don't even deserve to be in the film. So, bottom line, Godzilla, the original, was one of the best. Now, I did say I looked at one with American subtitles. There was also an American version as well when it came out back in the 50s, and it had a character named Steve Martin. However, he basically talks through the entire attack when Godzilla's fighting, just to, you know, juice it all in for all of us American audiences. To me, I thought that was a very poor way back then. And I think it's because we didn't had good agreements with Japan back then, as we do kind of now. But as I can tell you, Godzilla is a legendary monster. Do I think he's the king of all monsters? He has a big fan base, I'll give it that. It's big enough as is. But do I think he's the king of all monsters? In Japan, yes. But in the world? No. No. I mean, let's think about it here. The easy way he can die was either he doesn't exist or he explodes because his heart is a nuclear reactor and it was melting down in Godzilla versus Destroya. So, quite literally, he died and he melted. Simple as that. Or he dies by another monster, or anything else. But through gunfire and explosions, and even a net that literally shocks him, there's nothing that could stop him. So, now you're thinking, why couldn't I do a Godzilla-thon similar to Cinemassacre's Monster Madness? I'll tell you why. I'm not a big fan of Godzilla. That's one thing. Second, there are too many Godzilla films. And I would have to go through each one by each decade. And it's so difficult because there are so many of those films and they're pumping them out. But they always give this monster a 3 years rest. Toho gives this monster a 3 years rest. And then once they hit to the next series for Godzilla, they boost out the films even more, some of them either reboots or remakes. And that's what I think I can't do. I cannot do these movies. And I most certainly will never do the 98 film because I will literally going to be very pissed off. Very, very, very pissed off. I'm very serious. If I ever do this type of movie, I will get pissed off. Let's think about it. I hate the acting of Matthew Broderick. I hate his acting. I do not like it. He can't seem to literally care about anything. His acting doesn't sound the most serious. And not only that, the dialogue is boring. This doesn't even look like, the monster doesn't even look like Godzilla. Japanese made the name into Zilla. He does not breathe fire. They shoot him down with fucking missiles. And this feels more like Jurassic Park than it does Godzilla. That is the main problem. But the main problem, the biggest problem, is the fact that they named it the name Godzilla. That is not true. That does not look like Godzilla. As a matter of fact, when Godzilla actually faced the American version couldn't even beat him. I think that was Final Wars, I think. And Godzilla, you don't fuck with him. You don't fuck with him, man. And it really was kind of crazy to see it. But I'll tell you one thing. I respect the monster. I respect the monster as much as I respect Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Mummy, and the Wolfman, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and Leatherface, and Michael Myers, and Jason Voorhees, and even Reagan from The Exorcist. I respect this monster just like the others. But I don't think he is the king of all monsters. But I do appreciate Toho's work, and Japan mostly, creating a good monster flick for mostly us American audiences nowadays, but mostly for Japan. For the people who basically just want a break of real life, but still feeling the dangers of real life. And I think that was a good one. I thought it was a very heartwarming film, and I do kind of like things that bother me, like the choir of girls singing in unison. They remind me of the delightful children from down the lane. Oh boy, I hope I don't talk about characters here in this horror vision. But bottom line, if you really want to see these Godzilla movies, look up James Rolfe's videos on Godzillathon. I highly recommend that. But if you really want my opinion, stick to the original. Stick to the original. Go find the Japanese dubbed. Go find the Japanese version with English subtitles. Watch it all the way through, and you will be impressed on what Godzilla is. And it's surprising too, because I got surprised too. So I hope you all enjoy. And tomorrow, we're going to be talking about a series back at TNT that showed you Godzilla, but also a lot of monster flicks.